Yo, what's going on everybody? So Boruto episode 132 is done and in the book, and before we get into the episode review, I gotta say this right here. Over on the official Naruto Explained Teespring, I have the Make Konoha Great Again t-shirts. You can look down in the description box. I have a promo code that will give you guys 20% off. Thank you guys again for so much support. Now let's get into the episode review. We gotta absolutely start at the ending and start with everyone's favorite sage, Jiraiya. Oh my god. So obviously, if you've been following the channel, as well as some of you guys who are great prognosticators, the scene that I've said for a while that is going to be coming has finally gotten here. Jiraiya has put all the pieces together. Now, I have gone on a few different posts and I've kind of read a little bit of the feedback that people are saying. There's still some people who are saying it's a bit convenient that Jiraiya figured out that Sasuke is actually Sasuke from the future and that Boruto's actually Naruto's son. Now, while the second part of Boruto being Naruto's son hasn't necessarily been confirmed by Jiraiya via his own words, the fact that he's already figured out that Sasuke is Sasuke from the future and that Boruto has chakra that syncs up with Naruto, it's only a matter of time before he voices that out. Now, some people said, how could Jiraiya figure that out so easily? Well, here's the thing with Jiraiya's character. Like, he always gets introduced as being the fool, but when you play the card of being the fool, people are more likely to let things slip around you. They're more likely to let their guard down. And the perfect example of this is in this episode when Boruto and Naruto, they're going through the training and they're trying to sync up their chakra, right? Jiraiya says, oh, I fell asleep. That was more than a catnap. Yes, it's possible Jiraiya might have been asleep, but one of the first things that he does after he gives him the tip is he looks over directly at Sasuke, and he already knew that Sasuke was there. In my opinion, the dude faked being asleep because he was keeping tabs on Sasuke while Boruto and Naruto are training. Again, when you have a character like that who's a spy, when you have a guy like Jiraiya who was spying on the Akatsuki and not getting caught for several years, this tells you that this dude is someone who is very crafty when he needs to be. Again, at the end of the day, he's not a legendary ninja for nothing. So I like that bit right there. I really like that. Now, the only thing I gotta say is the way that Sasuke stopped in his tracks. A lot of people said this is it, but if I'm right, and if Sasuke was carrying a picture of Sakura when he bumped into her and Sakura found that, dude, Boruto's getting all these lectures from Sasuke about not screwing up the timeline. Sasuke just messed the timeline up his damn self. Not just once, but twice.
Snake! What happened? Snake! Snake!
Oh man, this is good. This is how you implement some type of conflict without necessarily having the big bad guy of the week being introduced. This is good conflict right here. I like this. I like this a lot. And the other thing that I liked in this episode is how when you see Boruto and Naruto, Naruto's being the classic idiot that he is. Naruto is not catching on to what Jiraiya is saying, and at every turn, Boruto's figuring out right away like, oh, this is what he wants us to do. No, see, what he really wants us to do is to work on our flow, work on our breathing, work on our chakra. And Naruto's like, yeah, I was thinking that too. And it's like Jiraiya's looking at him, it's like, Naruto, you're so full of it right now. Boruto caught on to it, and for a while I got the impression that like when Jiraiya was looking at Boruto, he was having flashbacks when he was training Minato, because Minato was a character who we know is a genius. He's a character that myself and others, ever since Boruto has been in the animated form, so in Boruto the movie, a lot of people said, well, Boruto comes off a lot like Minato, whereas in chapter 700 of Naruto, Boruto came off like a Naruto knockoff. So when you look at how they've been doing this character, essentially when Jiraiya was looking at Boruto, I wonder if he looked at him and said, I'm kind of getting flashbacks to training Minato, because Minato is the character, you know, that he called on stuff very quickly. Jiraiya even stated as much. Whereas with Naruto, I feel like this training they're doing with Naruto, this is gonna be one of those things where Naruto's not gonna fully grasp what they're trying to do until he gets into a battle type of situation. You know, if you go to the filler arc that happens in Naruto Shippuden, the Three Tails filler arc, Naruto, we know that around this time, Naruto was trying to learn cooperation ninjutsu, and he absolutely failed at it. So if this is a one-time thing where Naruto's able to do it and essentially do it in the heat of battle, then essentially it's going to be a fluke. What I also liked about this episode was how Jiraiya is pointing out that, hey, you know, what you're attempting to do, not even some skilled jonin can actually do this. So this is once again kind of showing us that, okay, it's not just Boruto's generation that was more advanced, it's also Naruto's generation, because they're attempting to learn something that not even jonin can do. And the fact that two Genin are about to pull this off, that's gonna be really, really fascinating. That's gonna be fascinating to see. Now, what I also found interesting was how in this episode, one of the things that they kind of hammered home to us is the fact that you have Boruto on multiple occasions go from looking at Naruto like Naruto's potentially holding me back because he's not fully grasping what's going on, to Boruto's having flashbacks to when Naruto attacked him when Naruto's in that one-tails QB cloak state. So I like seeing that right there. I really like seeing how Boruto is afraid of that power. And Jiraiya even sensed it in the last episode when he told Boruto Naruto's story. But you know, for Boruto, you gotta understand, this is a character, he's only seen Naruto with the full power of the QB and it's completely under control. When Naruto lets that power out, it's like a running wave of water. It's very calm. Whereas right now, Naruto's struggling to contain it, and so it's coming out very fierce and uncontrollable. And for a character like Boruto, the more that he's interacting with Naruto and the chakra syncing up and it's getting to the point where Naruto isn't necessarily losing control, but at any given moment, the more time that Boruto spends feeling Naruto's chakra, he can't help but go back to that moment. It's very similar to somebody that's been through post-traumatic stress. I mean, I like seeing that. That adds a human element to it, and I think that this is a backdoor way of having Boruto fully understand just how far his father had to go in order to get where he is. So I like that they're going this route. I really like that they're going this route, because at the end of the day, Boruto's very talented. He's a ninja. He's seen a Sasuke, but this is one of those things where Boruto still had a very sheltered life. Being able to interact with something like this is putting him out of his element. And for Boruto to have those flashbacks to smack Naruto's hand away, to basically be just like the villagers themselves, and yet Boruto's aware of it and tries to reconcile this by saying, just give me a few moments. It's showing growth. It's showing progress. It's also showing Naruto indirectly that yes, he's scared of you, but he's not pushing you away. Not all people are like the villagers. So I like seeing that little moment right there. I really like seeing that. Now, what I also liked was how Jiraiya is like, okay, we can skip the water balloon stage, but we need to go ahead and go to having the rubber ball. And you see Naruto and Boruto, they're attempting to coordinate their chakra together and having the rubber ball. And it once again feeds on the whole thing that the further they get into the training, Boruto's starting to have essentially a mental breakdown. But as this happens, Naruto, instead of getting completely discouraged, Naruto gives him the space. So what you're seeing right here is that after Sasuke left the village, Naruto, his maturation process began to speed up. So I like seeing this right here. Naruto is taking things a little more seriously. So I like seeing that part there. I also like the fact that, you know, Sasuke is watching everything and attempting to just make sure that they weren't doing something that's going to mess the timeline up, which again is ironic. But the other thing is Sasuke, as he's watching everything Naruto's going through and attempting to get stronger, you have this moment towards the middle of the episode where Sasuke is looking down and over to his left, so you can tell that he's clearly reflecting on the bad mistakes he's made in the past. So I like seeing that. I like seeing that look of shame that's on Sasuke's face. Now, when the episode transitions over to the whole thing with the Hyuga clan and you see Neji and Hinata training and fighting, this is why I like to say, like, Neji and Hinata, there's so much wasted potential, because that in itself, everything we saw right there, that's so much conflict that could be used. Like, I love that they're exploring just the dynamic of the Hyuga clan and how Neji's saying, like, look, you know, it will be bad optics. You can't even give me tea. We can't be seen together giving tea to one another. That's not something that's gonna fly over well. So now we're getting the opportunity that Boruto might actually see what Hanabi and what Hinata said, which is her father, their father, Boruto's grandfather, was a lot more strict in the past. I really hope that they do have Boruto interact more with the Hyuga clan, though I don't think that's something they're gonna do, because once they get to the point where you have that moment where all of a sudden Hinata recognizes him, you're in danger. If you have that moment where Neji realizes that Boruto's name Bolt, and that's a play on his name, Neji means screw. That's the whole reason why, if you look at Boruto, he's got that necklace, he's got a screw for a necklace, it's paying respect to Neji. If you have something like that. All of a sudden, you put everything in danger. But what I like is the fact that Boruto learns the story of what happened during the tuning exams and how Naruto basically got Neji onto the right track. And I like how even though Neji is a Gani right here, you're seeing that Neji's observation skills on a completely different level, because he notices Boruto spying and he says like, Lady Hinata didn't notice, but I knew you were there all along. When they have their conversation, they're talking to one another, Neji even says like, I can't believe I'm talking to somebody I just met. Maybe it's because you remind me of Naruto. So you're seeing here, I think we're on day 3 or day 4 of them being back in the past. So what you're now seeing is the fact that the longer Boruto's there, the more people are realizing that there is a strong similarity between Naruto and Boruto. So this arc isn't going to go on as long as some of the reports were, where some people said this arc was going to last until March. I don't think it's going to go that far. I think that we're essentially going to be reaching the climax in probably next month or so. But what I like about this is the fact that Neji and Boruto get a chance to speak and bond, and you have that moment where Boruto almost slips up and he says, you know, why are you being so formal with my mom? And he corrects himself. He says, why are you being so formal with Hinata? So I like those little small moments right there. But getting to the nitty gritty of it, I think for a lot of people, what's probably going to be the highlight of this episode is having Sasuke and Naruto speak to one another, and how Naruto says like, I just need to get stronger because my friend, my rival, he's not going to acknowledge my voice until I'm able to lock fists with him and be considered to be an equal. And Sasuke, you can tell this is just hitting Sasuke hard, man. He's looking at that food that Jiraiya told him to bring him. He's like, man, I can't even believe this shit right here, man. And what's so crazy is that Sasuke, for all of his brilliance, fell right into Jiraiya's trap, because Jiraiya has everyone thinking he's going off to Pete, and hell, even myself thought it. But given the fact I've been hammering home, like, I think Jiraiya already knows, I think Jiraiya's figured out everything. The fact that we've gotten to this point, it lets you know that, okay, Jiraiya set this up. He was spying on Sasuke from a distance, and he was doing so to see how he would react to Naruto. And you could probably say that that moment when Sasuke told Naruto the story about his friend, that probably cemented. But I think that Jiraiya really just got to a point where he said, okay, I know what's going on, when all of a sudden Sasuke's giving him information saying, you're aware of what happened with the QB, where a certain organization tried to capture them. I think at that moment, Jiraiya figured out right away, okay, this is Sasuke. Again, that's one of the things I've kind of hammered home. A lot of people point to the Rasengan. I really point to this moment right here. So I like the fact that the anime just showed you, once again, Jiraiya, he just plays the fool. If you go back to the original Naruto manga, that's what the two elders told him. They said, how much longer are you going to try and throw everybody off your scent by just being this peeping Tom and acting like an idiot? You know, we need somebody to be Hokage. They cut right to the chase, and Jiraiya got serious in a heartbeat. So I like that you're seeing just little small moments like that. I really like those moments right there. And what's so crazy about that is how Sasuke is able to pick Naruto up. And I don't know if people caught this. But when Naruto was laying there and he was having the rainfall on him, and Sasuke says, you know, you should watch it, you're gonna catch a cold. That moment is paying homage to what happened in the Land of Waves, when Sasuke goes out there and he catches Naruto after training all night. This arc right here, if you look very closely, it really rewards you for having read the manga. I do gotta say this, speaking of just animation, I have to say that flashback with Naruto and Neji, I like how they didn't just grab the old footage. This one, they redrew it, they added new color templates to it. I really like that moment right there, like when you see the QB chakra and Neji and Naruto clashing, whereas Neji's using rotation, Naruto's using QB chakra. It's a lot brighter than it was in the original series. So I like seeing that. I like seeing that 2019 update to it. So I thought that that was pretty cool. I also like the color palettes that they use for this. It's more in line with what you see in the part 1. So Naruto, whereas Naruto Shippuden had darker color palettes. So I like seeing how they're incorporating some of that and keeping it in that part 1 of Naruto feeling. Because, you know, for a lot of people in my generation, part 1 is, a lot of people say that's the better story. Shippuden had higher stakes, Shippuden had more conflict, but at the same time, you know, the first part 1 of the story is more compressed. It's a better overall story, in my opinion. It's more streamlined. Again, we can agree to disagree on that, because I know a lot of people started with the Shippuden part, but I like those moments that you got in these episodes. I really like those moments, and I like the fact that they left us off with yet another cliffhanger, whereas Sasuke is just completely shocked that Jiraiya's figured out who he is. So what this does open up the door for, this opens up the door for the fact that Sasuke could indeed actually take off his eye patch, use his Rinnegan, or activate his Sharingan and battle Urashiki in the future. So I like this. I like that they opened the door for that, because now Sasuke has no reason to hold back. And when it comes to Naruto, Naruto's dumb enough to believe that someone just transplanted Sasuke or another Uchiha's Sharingan into this grown adult. That's all they have to say, and Naruto will buy into it. So I like that they've essentially handled the big elephant in the room. So my episode question to you guys is, at what point do you think that the anime did its best job? Do you think it did its best job with Boruto having those PTSD flashbacks of Naruto losing control of the QB chakra? Or do you think that the anime did the best job when it was Jiraiya figuring out who Sasuke was, or potentially Sakura figuring out who Sasuke was? And when it came to, and this is the second question I have, and when it came to who is more likely to potentially ruin the mission by being discovered, do you think that it was more Boruto, or do you think it was more Sasuke? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.